Hi guys, welcome back to the Shannon Show. Hello if you're new. So today's video is going to be a review of The Wrong Missy, which just dropped on Netflix. Feel free to comment down below your thoughts on my commentary. I'm always up for a chat, I'm always up for a debate. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and if you didn't, give it a dislike. No hard feelings. So let's get into the review. Now, I was pretty excited going into watching this film. I've seen quite a few Netflix rom-coms and most of them have been pretty decent, provided me with some comic relief. So I was hoping for the same thing with this film. And when I look at the premise, it was definitely promising. So the premise of this film is there's this guy, he meets the girl of his dreams called Missy, and he starts texting her, and their relationship escalates over text, and he ends up inviting her to his work holiday retreat. But somehow the wrong Missy turns up at the airport, and it turns out that he wasn't texting the girl of his dream. He was actually texting another Missy who was a horrible first date, and now they're stuck on this holiday retreat together. So just by the plot, I thought this could be interesting. This could possibly be hilarious. Of course, there is some question marks, because how can you be texting somebody and not know you're texting the wrong person? Usually people call, especially if this is meant to be the person of your dreams. Surely you would call them up at some point, send a voice note, you know, to hear their voice again. Getting into the zone of the film, I could definitely let that slide. But yeah, was anyone else kind of just like, well, how would that even happen realistically? Or were you just like, let's just go with the flow? So I think the most important thing that people are probably going to be wondering is this funny? Obviously it's a rom-com. I'd say it probably is more on the comedy side than romantic side, in my opinion. And in the beginning, I'm not gonna lie, I was a bit skeptical. You know, the first minute or so, I was just like, what is this type of film going to be? I was like, I hope this isn't going to be an obnoxious American comedy. But within 5 minutes, I was literally laughing out loud. And the opening was definitely hilarious. The depiction of him with the wrong Missy, the bad date, was absolutely hilarious. Yes, it was definitely over the top cringy at times, but it's that type of cringy over the top comedy that you can love and you can just laugh out loud to. In the opening, there's this particular scene where the main guy, Tim, tries to run away from Missy, tries to pull the old go into the bathroom trick. And she follows him into the bathroom as he's trying to escape. And that whole bathroom skit was absolutely hilarious. So the opening is really strong in terms of comedy. And I think people who might have gone into it with reservations will definitely be like, okay, I'm going to give this film a chance. I think for the most part, the comedy is pretty solid, pretty well done. There's definitely parts where you'll find certain bits funnier than other bits. But the comedy is enough to definitely carry you through the whole film. In terms of the narrative and the story, I think it's pretty solid, it's pretty generic. You kind of know what's going to happen between Tim and Missy, the wrong one. But it's not just focusing on Missy and Tim. We also have a lot of drama with Tim's colleagues as well. There is a lot of action, which I found entertaining. There is a little twist at the end, I guess you could call it a twist, that kind of is the bridge to the resolution of the film, because, you know, all rom-coms have to have a happy ending, but there also has to be some type of conflict as well. So there was a conflict, and the way that they resolved it, they added a little twist in it, and I just feel like the twist that they put in it was a bit unrealistic, in my opinion. I think some of the decisions made by Tim near the end of the film was a bit unrealistic, considering the options that he had, and considering I think people who are fans of love will definitely find the ending cute, but I think people who are logical, and I don't want to stereotype men, but I feel like in real life, I don't think Tim would make the decision that he made, considering the options that were before him. So, but I got to hear it from you guys, especially I'd be interested to hear from men who have watched this. The decisions put forward for Tim at the end, do you think they were realistic? Let me know. Let me know. I personally don't think it would have went down that way in real life. But obviously I knew what the result was going to be. And even though I don't think it was logical, I still did appreciate the resolution, and I was satisfied with the ending. It is very generic, but I feel like in terms of generic film. You know, you knew what you were coming in for and it gives you what you needed. I think overall the comedy execution, the comedy writing was pretty well done. I do think there were some areas where the entertainment was a bit lacking, where it did kind of get a bit boring or uninteresting. But there was definitely enough highlights in there for you to carry on watching. I think the only issue that I had with the script and the film per se was there was a little problematic situation that I have to point it out. And the problematic situation was there was this running theme with Missy and Tim, that Missy kept doing sexual things with Tim when he was asleep, and he'd wake up to find her doing sexual things to him. And when I saw that happen, I was like, I'm like 100% sure that this situation is sexual assault. And I just feel like if it was the other way around, if it was Tim doing that to Missy, it never would have made it to the script. So I found it quite interesting how they framed it as this kind of, how they framed it, because processing that situation, you process it in a very comedic, light-hearted way. And I think people will probably generally find it funny. But I think when you actually think about it, and I can't help but think about it, it is extremely problematic. And the way that they kind of just frame it as, well, Tim wakes up and he goes along with it, I just can't help but think if this was the other way round and it was Tim doing that to Missy, that definitely would not have made it to the script. And I do think it's a little problematic because I'm pretty sure things like this do go on and it is sexual assault. So I gotta say it, man, even though I didn't cringe or I didn't find it uncomfortable, I think that was my issue, that I didn't find it cringy and I didn't find it uncomfortable and I did find it lighthearted. But what did you guys think of that whole situation? Are you just kind of like, it's not that deep, or do you feel like if this was the other way around, this would not have run? So I gotta know from you guys. I gotta know from the people who watched it. So I think that was my only kind of thing that I did not like from the script. Moving on to the characters, obviously the main characters are Lauren Lapkus as the Wrong Missy. I've seen her in Orange is the New Black, which was quite a serious role. I hadn't seen her in anything else other than Orange is the New Black, but she is definitely a powerhouse. I think she was definitely the standout performance in this show. She played her role so well. She was crazy, annoying, loud. You know, she's just that person. You love to watch her make a fool out of herself, but you know in real life you would want nothing to do with her. And you can help but love her character. Even when she did the problematic things, like I said, I still loved her character. I think she did an excellent job as her character, and I'd love to see her in more comedy projects because I think that is definitely her lane. She was great in Orange is the New Black in her serious role, but I think where she truly shines is in comedy. David Spade, he did a great job as the protagonist as well. He was funny, but he was definitely a more subtle comedic character. And I think that definitely worked well because him and Missy are meant to be such polar opposites to each other. And I think they both had such great chemistry together. They worked really well. They did a great job of making you root for them as a couple. And the supporting characters did well as well. Overall, the cast was great. Some of the best comedic performances that I've seen in a while. So I think overall I was pretty satisfied from this film. It definitely gave me what I came for. It wasn't as funny as I was hoping for, but there's definitely, like I said, there's still definitely a few highlights there. What I will say is that I do think perhaps an older audience would definitely appreciate the comedy more than a younger audience, because I watched it with my older sibling and it seemed like she definitely was laughing a lot more than I was. So I'd say it probably would go down better with an older audience, but I'd still recommend it to a younger audience if you like rom-coms. I think in terms of the other aspects, so production and stuff, I think it was pretty solid. It captured the look of a work holiday retreat in Hawaii well. It looked like how you would expect a Netflix comedy or comedy rom-com would look like. I feel like Netflix, I've never seen a film from them that looked bad. The colour grading was very vibrant, so it kind of added to the fun, non-serious film of it all, which I think worked well. So yeah, I definitely recommend checking out this film. It's not a serious film, it provides you with comic relief. I think taking everything into account, I'm going to give this film a 2.5 out of 5. It was almost a 3, but I think some of the bits of the comedy started to slow down a bit, started to get a bit uninteresting. So that's the reason why I have to mark it down to half marks. But it's a really strong 2.5 and I would still recommend watching it. If you haven't watched it, do let me know if this was a film that is or was on your radar. And if you have watched it, do let me know what you thought of the film and what you'd rate it out of 5. As always, do let me know what you thought of my review. Subscribe if you haven't yet, and if you have, don't forget to press that notification bell so you'll know when the next review is dropping. I'm so close to 1.3k subscribers, so I'd really appreciate it if you subscribe to my channel. Until next time, guys, bye.